Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me thank you all for coming here today. Before we begin, let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Fitroh Agdhi Yunarda, but you can call me Fitroh. I'm the student of Islamic Education Department of UIN Malang. I will begin by presenting the concept of Islamic methods or Tariqah school in Islam. Then I will continue by explaining how important Islamic perspective for about how humans can relate to God. Finally, I will explain that the concept of Islamic methods or Tariqah school in Islam. My presentation will take about 20 minutes until 30 minutes. I will be handing out copies of the PowerPoint slides at the end of my talk. There will be time for questions after my presentation. So, according to several articles that I read and some questions that I ask some of my friends, there are many Muslims who questions how the real relationships between humans and God is. So here I can explain some explanations about how humans can relate to their gods. In this part of my presentation, I would like to tell you about Tariqah school in Islam, the elements of the Tariqah, and the purpose of the Tariqah. The first, I would like to tell you about Tariqah school in Islam. Tariqah in Islam in Indonesian has four big Tariqah. The first is Tariqah Naksabandiyah or Naksabandiyah order. The number two is Tariqah Syatariyah or Syatariyah order. The number three is Tariqah Qadiriyah or Qadiriyah order. The number four is the last Tariqah Rifa'iyah or Rifa'iyah order. So, Tariqah Naksabandiyah is founded by Sheikh Muhammad Bahauddin al-Naksabandi al-Uwaisi al-Bukhari in Turkestan. Is one of the most widespread Sufi orders and is widely distributed in Muslim Asia, although a few Arabs as well as Turkey, Bosnia Herzegovina, and the Ural Volga region. Number two is Tariqah Syatariyah. Syatariyah order or Tariqah Syatariyah. The name Syatariyah was decided to Sheikh Abdullah al-Syatari, a cleric who still has a family relationships with Shihab al-Din, Abu Hafiz, Umar Shurahwadi, the scholar who popularized the Suwariyadi Tariqah. The number three is Qadiriyah order or Tariqah Qadiriyah. Qadiriyah is the name of a Tariqah founded by Sheikh Muhyiddin Abu Muhammad Abdul Qadir al-Jailani al-Baghdadi. The Qadiriyah order developed and was centered in Iraq and Syria and was followed by millions of Muslims who were scattered in Yemen, Turkey, Egypt, India, Africa, and Asia. The golden eye of the Murshid Tariqah, this Qadiriyah developed and centered in the state of Iraq and Syria and has developed rapidly in several areas of the Middle East such as Yemen. So as for this historical development in Africa, India, and Asia. The number four, the last is Tariqah Rifa'iyah or Rifa'iyah order, founded by Sheikh Ahmad bin Ali Abu Abbas. Sheikh Ahmad, who is said to be Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, his teachers, was so engrossed in dhikr that his body was lifted up into the sky. Her hand patted her chest. Then Allah ordered the nymphs to give him a tambourine on his chest instead of patting him on the chest. But Sheikh Ahmad did not remember anything, was so solemn that he did not hear the loud voice of his burden. Yet the whole world heard the sound of the tambourine. Let's move on the next point. The elements of the Tariqah. He has 5 elements. First, teacher's elements. 2 elements of papil. 3 bayat. The number 4, lineage or transmission. The number 5, there are teachings. Teacher's element. The function of murshid, a teacher, is very important. Is the suluk of the Tariqah because a student cannot reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without accompanied by a perfect murshid. The perfect murshid figure is intermediary between the student with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be able to reach a nobler degree by his side. The number 2 is element of pupil. Etymologically, pupil means people who willing and have aspiration. This disciples in Tariqah terms is a person who intends to take the path to arrive to the goal, which is the pleasure of Allah. Institutionally, the pupil is followers of a Tariqah who want knowledge and practice of the Tariqah concept or of the Tariqah concept. The number 3 is bayat. Bayat comes from the word ba'a yabi'u, which means to sell. According to them, bayat means a promise loyalty, inauguration of confirmation of a ruler that is carried out through a promise of bayat, namely an oath of loyalty and obedience. Techniques and procedures for taking allegiance in Tariqah are often different from one another, but generally there are 3 important stages that's a prospective student who is going to take oath must go through, namely is talqin al zikir, repeat certain zikir, or akidah al-haq, taking on oath, and lips al-khidran, winning a robe. The number 4 is lineage or transmission. If the scholars are the heir of the Prophet who teach the knowledge of breath, then the Murshid Tariqat is the heir of the Prophet who teaches spirituality. The number 5 is there are teachings. One of the most important parts of the Tariqat, which is practiced almost always, is zikir. But zikir means remembering God. However, in remembering God, the Tariqat is assisted by various kinds of authorities which mention the name of Allah or its attributes or words that remember to Allah. So that's the background about Tariqah in Islam or methods in Islam. So the purpose of the Tariqah, the aim of the order is study personally faults and shortcomings either in doing acts of worship or in interaction with the community and learn how to fix them by cleaning up pieces of the life through guidance and interaction with someone teachers who have attained perfection and are competent in method certainly of the deception. Well, this brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you all for listening. I just ran through the 3 different options. Now, I'll be happy to answer any question you may have. Ladies and gentlemen, if there is something among the audience that is less understood from my explanation, you can ask again. Thank you very much to watch my video, and I share my PPT now.